got very good arms.
He didn't fall? Inconceivable.
You keep using the word. I don't think it means what you think it means.
Welcome back to Thinking Critical. This is Wes, and our national nightmare is over. Ding dong, the witch is dead. Brian Michael Bendis' run on Superman is finished this week. He still has another issue on Action Comics, but we don't need to wait for that. We kind of know all the issues that happened, and we've already done a retrospective. When I say we, I mean Dylan and myself. We've already done a retrospective. There's going to be a link to that in the video description. So if you want to hear what we think about all of the decisions that Brian Michael Bendis made with the Superman series and kind of what tanked it, you can go watch that. But this will be more of an outlook. What can the new creative team do? What do we see Bendis doing kind of in the future? And obviously here with me to talk about that is the real comic book gamer himself, Dylan. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great now that Bendis is gone. I'm excited about Superman comics again. Like there's hope in the future now.
Yeah, so you came into this optimistic. Obviously, it started out okay for the first few issues of Man of Steel, went down quick, and it just never really recovered. I don't, once you saw the direction that Bendis was going, it was never really going to recover. But it's a new day. We got Philip Kennedy Johnson on as a writer. We don't really have any regular artists for Action or Superman yet. Hopefully that happens in the not-too-distant future. But before we get into all these details in the conversation, I do want to say, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video, give us a thumbs down if you don't. Either way, we want to hear your thoughts on our conversation today. What do you think direction of Superman should be? Are you excited about Philip Kennedy Johnson? What do you think about the prospects of Brian Michael Bendis at DC moving forward? Is Justice League going to be a better fit for him? So Dylan, obviously, Bendis made a lot of wholesale changes, undid a lot of the goodwill and excellent work that Peter J. Tomasi, Dan Jurgens, Patrick Gleason had done with the character. Really brought back like a golden age of Superman there during the first few years of Rebirth with Superman Action and Super Sons. We haven't experienced anything like that for a while, though we have got a couple of prequel Super Sons comics. Where does Philip Kennedy Johnson? Well, you know what? Let me ask you this. What are your thoughts on Philip Kennedy Johnson? I know you're a fellow reader of The Last God like I am. Are you as enthused about his arrival as I am?
I am so excited because all the rumors were that when Bendis left, they were going to try to get a big name like Mark Waid on it and someone that had some experience with Superman and that the fans at one point liked. And I was not happy about that at all because I believe Mark Waid's severely overrated. I also believe his best years are behind him. I don't think he has anything good to offer Superman anymore. So I was so happy that he was not announced to be writing Superman. And Philip Kennedy Johnson, I've only read The Last God of his. That's, I think, the only thing I've read of his. But it's fantastic. It's my favorite book at DC right now. It might be my favorite book just in general. It's so good. Now, granted, that doesn't mean he's going to be a good Superman writer because freaking like Lord of the Rings style fantasy book is completely different than Superman, but
a horror quest adventure book.
Yeah, and at least it shows he's a competent writer, so there's that. So it gives me hope in that sense. And he seems like a normal person when you look at him, like his interactions with fans and stuff on Twitter. He doesn't seem like a crazy guy. So I'm excited to see what he does with Superman, and I'm very hopeful for the future. So yeah, I'm stoked. I'm actually excited because I haven't been excited about Superman when Marv Wolfman's Man of Tomorrow book came out. That was like the last time I was excited about Superman. Besides that, like since Bendis.
You talking about Man and Superman?
Man and Superman, that's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah, that was great. That was the best book of 2019.
It was great, and that was like the last time there was anything involving Superman to get excited about.
Well, I mean, there was that short time period on Justice League where Scott Snyder had a great Superman story, but it's been so few opportunities other than like Deceased, and that one is just like a great Superman death scene. That's not exactly what you're looking for if you're a big Superman fan,
Exactly, especially after like the consistently greatness we had of Superman Action Comics and Rebirth.
Mm-hmm. So Philip Kennedy Johnson, there's a big interview in the Hollywood Reporter. He said a lot of the right things. It feels like he has a firm grasp on who Superman is and what he means to the DC universe. He has a firm grasp on what it feels like he wants to do at something epic in scale. But he did mention specifically that, hey, what Bendis has done, he's done. We're going to roll with that. Now, I think he's probably being very friendly. I don't think they're just going to continue on with all of Bendis's work. He's made a lot of changes. Do you see Philip Kennedy Johnson undoing any of Bendis's work? specifically the one that's going to be on everyone's mind is he going to DH Jonathan King? I don't think so.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think anyone's going to DH John, because John's at this point to where that's who he is now. He is that 17-year-old John King. He is like part of Legion of Super. He's like that's his character now. I don't think we'll ever get to a point to where that cat gets back in the bag. I just don't see it happen. I'd love for it to happen, but I think we'll definitely get more of these sort of flashback stories like we're getting with this digital exclusive Superman's Super Sons book, because there's a market for that and people want it. But I don't think we'll ever get to where that is main continuity again, to where like that is what's currently going on. I don't think John's ever going to get de-aged. As far as will he undo anything? I think that eventually, I don't know if it'll be him, but some writer that comes on to Superman, because who knows how long Philip Kennedy Johnson's run is going to last. No one knows. But I think that Clark's secret identity will get restored, because 100% you're going to get someone that comes on to Superman that's going to be like, I want to tell stories about Superman and Clark Kent that are actually interesting, instead of just, oh, now Superman goes and pretends to be Clark Kent again when everyone knows he's Clark Kent, which is how the Bendis thing currently works, which doesn't make any sense. So you're going to have someone that's going to want to do that. DC will be like, yeah, that's fine. That makes sense. Those are good stories. And so that'll happen. But I don't think John getting DH will ever happen, unless the only way I could ever see it happening is if there's a big, like, line-wide reboot again. Then it could happen.
Rebirth style.
Exactly. If there's a huge reboot, then you could be like, okay, we're rebooting and John is now 10 years old again, and this is where we're at. But if there's no reboot, there's no way John, like, something happens, like he goes back through a portal and he comes back, he's 10 years old again. That's not going to happen. But yeah, I agree with what you're saying about in the interview. I think he's just being cordial. He's just being nice. He's not going to just get handed. This is the biggest title Philip Kennedy Johnson's ever been on, being on Superman Action Comics. This is huge. He's not going to get handed this and just be like, yeah, screw that Bendis guy. Everything he did sucks. I'm going to undo it all. As much as the fans would like it, that's not the, professional thing to do. So, of course, he's not going to say that. But I really do hope that he doesn't stick with what Bendis has been doing, because no one likes what Bendis has been doing. It's been terrible. It's funny reading the replies to, like, the different tweets of articles saying, Bendis is going, here's Philip Kennedy Johnson. All the replies are like, hallelujah. It's great. So, yeah, I hope he doesn't continue on. But that's my thoughts on that.
I know you kind of stepped off of Superman once he revealed his secret identity. You were like, enough is enough. I've read this before, and I've read it, superior version that I didn't like then. It's essentially what your take was. So recently, Superman has been in conflict with I guess his name is Sinmar Utopic. I think that's the character's name. He's from the planet Sinmar, and Superman was out there. They've been having some fights, and it feels like from the Philip Kennedy Johnson interview that Superman is going into space. Is that the way that you kind of read it? Way that you read it? We know in Future State he ends up on War World and he's fighting gladiatorial style combat, trying to overthrow Mongol's son. I imagine we're working towards something like that. Are you excited to see Superman in the cosmos?
I am, actually, because of the fact that Bendis has ruined Clark Kent as a character. So I think going to the cosmos is a smart idea without just, immediately undoing everything Bendis has done. You can just take him to the cosmos and tell interesting stories there. So I think that's actually a smart move from Philip Kennedy Johnson to be like, hey, Clark as a character is kind of ruined by Bendis, and his relationship with Lois, like, isn't interesting. His relationship with his son isn't interesting now. Like, there's not much to do on Earth if you think about it, after how bad Bendis handled all that. So having him go to space is like a smart idea, and I'm excited to see how it goes. So yeah, I'm excited for that, especially just seeing like another Superman Exile. I think that's a cool idea. So I'm excited to see what he does there, and it definitely does look like that's where he wants to go with it.
Yeah, thinking about that idea, I'm a wrestling fan. You'll often hear Jim Cornette say, "How can anyone miss you if you don't go away? You'll never get back over with the fans if you don't leave." So actually, thinking about it from that perspective, if Superman leaves, we know there's going to be backup stories. I think it's in Action Comics. They're going to be dealing with the supporting character of Superman. I'm imagining Lois Lane, Jimmy Olsen, and stuff will be in there. Superman can go for 2 years, and we can read about how everyone misses him and how the world needs him while he's gone. And he can go rediscover himself. You can see what an amazing character Superman is when he isn't being dragged down by some of the weird characterizations of his relationships. And when he returns, everybody will be glad to see him, and you won't wonder, well, what about that time that Lois Lane looked like she was cheating on Superman? That'll be in the rear view, and you'll kind of put some distance, and there'll be a new characterization of the relationship when he returns.
Exactly, a good time to detox and then get things back to like how to sort of status quo how things were prior to Bendis. I think this is a really smart decision, assuming this is what he's going to do.
Well, I'm almost certain of it. I'm kind of, I don't know if this is going to happen. I think we're going to end up with one series being Clark Kent in space, and I think we're going to end up with like another series, the Superman interaction, being Jonathan Kent like on Earth. It's kind of what it seems like. The first story arc is bringing John Kent back from the 31st century and from the Legion of Superheroes, which is kind of weird because he's only been there for 5 minutes. Like they needed him to be there. That was the whole thing. You know, you create the Legion of Superheroes and all
United Planets.
Yeah, Age of Enlightenment type of thing, but they're bringing him back 5 minutes later. And he's going to be on Earth, so I think we will be see John ascending kind of to the mantle of Superman. Maybe not really be Superman yet, you know, but a much older, more mature version of Superboy, and we'll see Clark Kent, Superman, off doing his own thing. Do you kind of get the feeling that maybe we're going to have one Superman title led by John Kent and another by Clark Kent?
I could definitely see that, especially since that's what we're getting in Future State, and that's what's been basically said in Future State is that Superman goes to space, and then John takes over as Superman, protecting Metropolis while he's gone. So I could definitely see that with the two series. One is Superman with his adventures in space, and the other is what is his son doing to protect Metropolis while he's gone and the rest of his family. So I could definitely see that happening.
Superman, he's going to be failing.
Could be
he's
it.
Not friends with Batman. You know, I'm sure he knows him. You know, he's friends with Damian. It's a good opportunity to kind of really flesh out and take this new version of John that no one likes and make him cool.
Yeah, exactly. Give us a reason to care about him, because everyone loved Kid and John, but then he just randomly he went on that adventure with his grandpa, which is weird, and then he went and created the United Planets and founded like the Legion of Superheroes, and it was just so weird. And it was just out of the blue, and it just felt like just random stuff that Bendis like had a checklist of, like he wanted John to do this and do this for no rhyme or reason. So you have no reason right now to care about this John. But if they can give us a reason to actually care about him and sort of like bond with the character instead of just here's all these bullet points of different things he's doing, I think that would that'd be good. That'd go a long way to getting people actually caring about the character again.
So I'm going to talk about Bendis being on Justice League here in a minute, but I do have a few just quick questions. Recently, in Action Comics, Jimmy Olsen bought the Daily Planet. Do you think that's going to stand?
I guess I don't think they'll undo it. I don't think there's a reason to, because that doesn't matter too much, but it does kind of obviously change the dynamic of Jimmy Olsen if he owns the Daily Planet.
So Lois Lane's boss.
Yeah, and so they could definitely easily do like a Jimmy Olsen goes broke storyline. Like I feel like it'll stand for a little bit, but I feel like down the line that's too easy of a storyline to not go into. Of Jimmy Olsen goes broke, the Daily Planet gets bought out by someone else, here's what happens. I feel like we'll get that storyline eventually, but I think they'll stick with Jimmy Olsen owning the Daily Planet for like 10 issues or so.
All right, so Rogol Zar obviously was the big villain, you know, who supposedly destroyed Krypton, was introduced in Superman, summarily dispatched, reintroduced in the Legion of Superheroes in the 31st century. We know John's coming back. Do you think Rogol Zar is going to come back with him?
I don't think Philip Kennedy Johnson will do it. If he's smart, he won't do it, because no one cares about Rogol Zar. It's the worst villain ever. The whole tease was, did he destroy Krypton? Find out in this, what feels like 100-issue arc, even though it was only like 10 issues, or 14 issues, actually, I think. And then in the end, you don't even find out if he actually did it. Like, at the very end, it's like, maybe he did. There's still no reveal about whether he did or not. It was the worst only had in Superman years. So if he brings it back, I think that's a really dumb decision. No one wants that guy. He's terrible. His design is literally just ripped straight from Drago from Warworld. So no, I don't think he'll bring him back. I really don't think so, because no one likes him, and I don't think that's going to happen. It'd be really dumb if he did.
Yeah, not a really compelling villain. Is there anything else that Bendis did that you think needs to be addressed or has the potential to be undone by Phil Kennedy Johnson as he further explores Superman and tries to, you know, kind of bump up the sales, which certainly lagged a lot under Bendis?
Man, there's a lot. As far as something I'd like to have seen, but it's kind of too late now, is the whole freaking Mr. Oz. Like, I want to know what happened there, like, because it completely ignores what happens at the end of the Mr. Oz storyline to when Jor-El shows up in Bendis's run. Because at the end of the Mr. Oz storyline in Superman Action during Rebirth, he gets taken away by Dr. Manhattan. We don't know what's going on. He had finally like recovered his mind and talked to Clark as an actual like person instead of just like this villainous presence. And so it was interesting. And then he gets taken away by Dr. Manhattan. And then he just shows back up again. And he's like, "Hey, I'm your grandpa, John." And Superman's like, "Oh, don't go with him." And then he does. And it's like, yeah, and like they're completely ignoring what had just happened in the Mr. Oz storyline. So I really wish we'd get a flashback story there to be like, what happened? Like, because I feel like there were plans. I feel like Dan Jurgens or Jeff Johns or someone had plans of this is what's going to happen, but instead we never saw it. So I wish that would have gotten addressed, because now Jor-El got sentenced because he had like something to do with the destruction of Krypton. He got sentenced to death, to where he got teleported to the destruction of Krypton. It's like, you shouldn't have escaped this, so go to your fate. And they just teleport him there and he's dead. Really lackluster ending for what was really cool in Rebirth, and was one of the big parts of Rebirth, you know, because you see the smiley face from Watchmen and then Mr. Oz. Those are like the two huge things at the beginning of Rebirth. It's like, who are these people? But that's the biggest thing that I'd love to see explained. If they could have like fill that gap, that would be cool. But
yeah, it's an apt metaphor. A really big letdown to everything that was started in Rebirth is kind of what Brian Michael Bendis' time on Superman is. I'm glad it's over. I'm very excited for Philip Kennedy Johnson. I have full faith that he's going to be able to pull it through. Now let's talk about Bendis himself. I don't believe that DC has quite got what they probably expected out of him at DC Comics. They put him on so many titles. Not only the Superman titles, they had him start up the Wonder line, or the Wonder Comics line. He had Young Justice, Naomi in there. He had Legion of Superheroes. He had the Leviathan, the Leviathan special. He was supposed to have another Leviathan event. That thing is definitely out the memory hole. We're not getting that one. But now it appears he's down to Justice League, Legion of Superheroes. He's done such a poor job in Legion of Superheroes, we don't even need to discuss this. Now, he is on Justice League. He's had success with these kind of team books before, specifically with like the Avengers and things like that. Although I think people think we're going to get a Justice League disassembled. Do you have any faith that maybe Brian Michael Bendis will have better luck with the Justice League team than he did with the Superman family books?
I mean, it could be a little bit better, but that's not saying anything because how abysmal his time on Superman was. But I don't think it'll be anything good. I don't think we're going to get the new Avengers Bendis. We're not getting that. It's just going to be the same old terrible, quirky, teenage sort of Valley Girl type dialogue to where no one sounds like themselves. If you just read it without looking at the page, just read the dialogue, you'd have no clue who was talking to who, because everyone sounds the exact same. It's like what he did for his Detective Comics, was it 1027 or whatever it was, that issue, to where everyone's just talking to each other and everyone sounds the same.
The whole Batman family, they're
all
version turns up like kind of in setup.
Yeah,
you can tell who was talking.
Yeah, everyone's just being quirky and like saying stuff like they're teenagers. It's like that. What? That's not how JC Todd talks. That's not how Dick Grayson talks. That's not how Barbara talks. It's gonna be like that, except to the Justice League. And who knows what convoluted plots he's gonna try to tell, where it just drags on, because his pacing is awful. He has no clue how to pace a comic. It is the worst, and that's what we're gonna get in Justice League. And I'm definitely dropping Justice League when he comes on. I have no interest in picking that up.
The roster itself seems cool. Obviously, you got Batman and Superman, but then you no longer have Wonder Woman. You've got you've got her mother. You've got Black Adam, Black Canary, Green Arrow. Who else is there? Naomi. I'm forgetting somebody else. Oh, Aquaman, and apparently Green Arrow is the leader. It has potential. I don't know why Green Arrow is the leader over like a Batman or a Superman, but there's too many super-powered characters that are like hopeful characters, and Bendis just can't work with that.
Yeah, and like of course he's shoving Naomi in there, his character that he created, just putting her on the Justice League, even though she has no reason to be on the Justice League. I did again, like you're saying, the roster doesn't sound bad, but the problem is it's who's writing that roster. That's what sucks.
Dave Marquez as the artist is
he's really good. Awesome. Yeah, he's great on Batman Superman.
Yeah, that looked like $1 million. I remember when I was reading that, I was like, man, I hope he gets Superman or Batman. Now he's getting both of them, obviously, in a much larger roster in the Avengers. I personally, you know what? I have nothing against Brian Michael Bendis personally. I hope it works out for him. You know, I kind of feel bad for him. I'm sure he feels embarrassed that maybe he hasn't put his best foot forward at DC Comics. Other than probably Naomi, that's probably been the highlight of what he's done there. But otherwise, it just does anything stand out in a good way?
No, I hope he does good. Like, I'm never rooting for like a writer. Whenever I talk about all this stuff, even like that Green Lantern guy that hates Hal Jordan, I'm never rooting for them to do bad. I'm like, I hope you crash and burn. I hope they surprise me and do fantastic. Problem is, I'm trying to be realistic here, and I don't see Bendis doing good at all. I hope he does great. It'd be so good if he actually just comes on and has like the best Justice League run ever, but I don't see that happening. And yeah, there's nothing really that he's done at DC. There's one moment I'll say I've talked about before that during the his Man of Steel run that I liked, which was when Superman like first fights Rogolzar Metropolis, and you're in his head and he's assessing the situation. He's talking about all the different things he's thinking about while he's in this fight, and that part was cool. Besides that, there's been nothing ever that stood out to me during Bendis's run that I've liked.
Yeah, it's too bad. You know, they hyped it up really big. A lot of people were saying doom and gloom when the ads showed up. It turns out, you know, basically they were proven right. It was not a fruitful run on Superman. Like I said, I hope he gets his footing underneath him for Justice League. It's probably like his last it's kind of his last hurrah at DC Comics on a major character, a major team. I think if this doesn't work out for him, there's probably nothing left for him to do. Like, why would he demote himself from Superman, you know, Justice League down to Green Arrow or Black Canary or something like that? You know, some characters are probably more his speed, you know?
Yeah, wouldn't make sense. This will be also rough for Justice League because since Snyder, they've been like trying to get someone to stick on there and like get some good consistent arcs. And I like Venditti, but he didn't stay on for long, so they haven't really gotten anyone to like consistently helm Justice League since Snyder. So we'll see how this goes with Bendis.
And I thought it was going to end up being Williamson. He did the Dark Knights Death Metal Justice League little mini series that tied into that. He's doing Justice League Future State. Everyone else that's writing Future State has moved over except for whoever's writing the next Batman. And I imagine John Ridley is going to be writing a Batman series. He's certainly writing in Batman Black and White and Superman Red and Blue. Let's not even talk about that. That's another 20-minute conversation. But yeah, Williamson's the only one that didn't really move over. Although he probably would have been the best choice because he was the best like overall writer. Even though I'm a huge Philip Kennedy Johnson and Ram V fan, like he was the one I was like, he fits.
Yeah, Williamson has the best resume of anyone on the Future State books by far. Like a lot of these other guys are unproven, or like maybe they've had some good books, but it's like only a few. Like Philip Kennedy Johnson, who I love, Last God, but that's kind of like the only big book that he has. To where Williamson has like a much bigger resume with like Flash and Batman, Superman, and other stuff.
Yep. So I'm happy Philip Kennedy Johnson's on the series, or both the Superman series. I'm glad Brian Michael Bendis' time is over. I wish him good luck on Justice League, and we'll see what happens. Hopefully, some of what we discussed and hopefully Philip Kennedy Johnson is just being nice and starts undoing some of the long-term damage that Bendis started. It's been doing for the last 2.5 years, something like that.
Yeah, it's been wrecking them. I do wish they would have split the books to where like one writer had Action Comics and a separate writer at Superman. That would have been cool instead of, because I have hope for Philip Kennedy Johnson, but maybe he doesn't have a good voice for Superman. It would be nice to have, okay, at least the other book is by someone different. That would have been cool. Yeah,
well, having options. Superman Red and Blue is supposed to be, but that if the creative team on the first issue is any indication of what we're getting, I got no time for that.
Yeah, the creative teams don't excite me at all, and that's like completely different than like the Superman action as well. So I would have been nice to have like, because that was so nice when we had Tomasi and Jurgens. Like even they were both great, but maybe if you didn't like one, they were definitely different books. To where now like if you don't like Bendis, you're screwed. If you don't like Philip Kennedy Johnson, you're screwed. Like
yeah, back in the day, you had Jeff Johns on Superman and Kurt Busiek on an action.
Yeah. Like that would be so nice. Or like right now you have Tynan and Tomasi on Batman Detective Comics.
Well, you got Tynan and Tamaki, Batman Detective Comics.
Yep. Sadly. Poor Tomasi.